Romance is dead. Delusion is a literal, like, untreatable disease at this point. And TLC is honestly legally obligated to foot the bill for our collective therapy.
Yeah, they absolutely are.
Because I am physically, emotionally, and just spiritually unwell after what we just watched.
I mean, the secondhand embarrassment has basically breached the Earth's atmosphere today.
It really has. Snark Squad, welcome back.
Welcome back, babes.
By the time you hear this, babes, it'll be Monday, so happy Monday to you.
The best day of the week, obviously.
Obviously. And if you are new here, welcome. And babes, if you're a returning babe, we fucking love you.
We really do. We appreciate you surviving this with us.
We do. Get seated on the couch and grab a glass because we are in a state of absolute emergency tonight.
We are dealing with unprecedented levels of toxic behavior, weaponized therapy terminology, and unholy bathtub rituals.
Oh my God, the bathtub. Don't even remind me yet.
I actually had to check my own pulse twice during this premiere to ensure I wasn't just hallucinating the entire thing.
Right. I physically cannot process the atrocities of this television program without copious amounts of alcohol.
It's a medical necessity.
It is. Which brings me to the most important announcement of the evening, babes. The sangria is officially on deck.
Finally.
And tonight, we are feeling purely, unapologetically tropical.
Very tropical vibes.
Yes. There's just something about sangria that instantly feels romantic.
Oh, for sure.
Like it perfectly encapsulates that chaotic, humid, anything can happen summer energy.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got the floating chunks of pineapple, the ice clinking, the massive pitcher. I mean, I am emotionally attached to this sangria right now.
It is holding your hand through the darkness.
It is holding my hand. It is my emotional support beverage.
Ah, yes. The tropical sangria. Allow me to just step into my role as your resident, highly pretentious, entirely fake wine expert for a second.
Please do. Tell us about the notes.
Well, if we analyze the complex flavor profile of what is currently in our glasses, we are experiencing the bold, aggressive tannins of a $6 boxed red wine.
Only the best for us.
Naturally. Beautifully balanced by the acidic desperation of chopped up days-old fruit from the bottom of your crisper drawer.
Yeah, those strawberries were perfectly fine.
They were borderline. But honestly, it is actually a mandatory pairing for this specific flavor of reality television.
Wait, why do you say that?
Because the aggressive, fruity sweetness completely masks the cheap alcohol, which perfectly mirrors how these couples use the promise of a green card to mask their utter lack of baseline compatibility.
Oh my God, the accuracy. It numbs the pain. You literally need tropical sangria energy to survive watching a grown man get scrubbed like a stray dog on national television.
You really do.
A delicate, subtle Pinot Noir just isn't going to cut it for this level of mess. We need heavy artillery.
Exactly. You need sugar and volume to counteract the psychic damage we just took.
Speaking of surviving, thriving, and romantic summer energy, I have to give the Snark Squad our real-life update before we tackle the television mess.
Oh, here we go. The data is infallible on this one.
Yeah. Babes, we literally just finished our third Italian class earlier today.
And it was highly revealing.
It was. And my gorgeous, brilliant bestie sitting right across from me is entirely convinced that they are about to be swept off their feet in a full-blown Tuscan romance.
Look, let's just look at the data. I am a creature of logic, you know that.
You are. Sometimes too much.
I rely on empirical evidence and analytical observation. And the data clearly points to the fact that our incredibly gorgeous instructor, Giovanni, was absolutely flirting with me today.
Yes. I am instantly, aggressively encouraging this delusion.
It is not a delusion.
I am enabling it to the fullest extent of the law. Tell the Snark Squad everything. Give them the evidence. Let them decide.
Okay, Snark Squad, I need you to evaluate the mechanics of this interaction. First, it was the prolonged eye contact.
It was very prolonged.
Right. It wasn't just a casual pedagogical glance to see if I was conjugating my verbs correctly.
Oh, it was a smolder.
It was an intense, soul-piercing gaze while we were practicing ordering espresso.
He practically poured the espresso with his eyes.
Exactly. And then there was the vocal modulation.
Oh my God, the voice drop.
When he corrected my pronunciation of Gracie, it wasn't a teacher correcting a student. He dropped his register by a full octave into this husky, cinematic whisper.
A literal cinematic whisper.
You cannot analytically look at that and tell me it wasn't a targeted romantic strike.
It was a direct hit. You're a casualty of war right now.
I truly am.
And this brings up such a profound debate, right? Like, where is the line between absolute clinical delusion and pure divine intuition?
That is the ultimate question of this entire podcast, honestly.
Because I am a romantic, and I believe in intuition. Let's be entirely honest. An accent automatically makes a person a million times hotter.
Oh, 100%. It's science.
It bypasses the logical center of the brain.
Mm.
You could be reading me the terms and conditions of an Apple iOS update, but if you do it with a thick Italian accent, I am romanticizing the entire interaction.
You're peeking out China patterns.
I'm looking at wedding venues in Florence.
That's the danger, though. It hijacks your critical thinking.
It totally does.
Because I am taking tiny, mundane interactions, like him literally just handing me a dry erase marker, and I'm building a massive cinematic universe around it.
But the way he handed the marker was very intentional.
See, you're not helping, because the actual reality of the class today was completely unhinged.
It was a mess. We are not good at Italian.
We are terrible. I am mispronouncing basic, elementary vocabulary words.
What?
I am butchering the beautiful Italian language because I am totally struggling to focus.
Damn.
How am I supposed to comprehend sentence structure when Giovanni is standing there in a fitted linen shirt being an absolute undeniable baddie?
It is entirely impossible. You know what it reminds me of?
What?
Learning Italian from a guy that hot is exactly like watching these couples on reality TV.
Oh, this is a good analogy. Go on.
You don't actually understand what is being said, right? You have zero comprehension of the underlying mechanics of the relationship, but you are just utterly hypnotized by the drama and the visuals.
That is painfully accurate.
You are staring directly at massive red flags and thinking, wow, what a beautiful, vibrant shade of crimson. That would look great in my living room.
It's a perfect parallel. We are the delusional cast members in our own lives.
We really are.
And frankly, I felt incredibly confident about my budding romance with Giovanni until we left the building.
Oh, no. I know where this is going.
We called Joan and Felicia our OG Snark queens over at the local retirement home, and I made the fatal tactical error of sharing this update with them.
Oh, my God. I was emotionally attacked.
It was a brutal takedown.
I am still in recovery from the lethal, completely unprovoked shade those women threw at us.
It was a literal massacre. I tried to defend my honor.
You tried so hard.
I laid out the evidence, the eye contact, the vocal fry, the marker handoff.
And what did Felicia do?
Felicia just took a sip of her decaf tea, looked at me through the FaceTime camera, and dismantled my entire reality.
She destroyed you.
She said, honey, he's being paid to be nice to you, so you keep enrolling in the beginner's course. You're funding his Vespa payments.
His Vespa payments. I screamed.
I had absolutely no rebuttal. I realized in that exact moment that older women are completely undefeated at reading people because they have zero filter left.
None at all.
They have survived the 70s, they have seen it all, and they will absolutely humble you in 3 sentences or less.
Felicia destroyed us both. She literally looked at me and said, maybe if you spent less time romanticizing the teacher, you'd actually know how to order a decent glass of wine in Rome.
And she wasn't wrong.
The psychic damage. Had to clutch my pearls. But honestly, babes, the only way to heal from being roasted by octogenarians is chaotic late-night carbohydrates.
It's the only known cure.
So the night obviously ended with a Taco Bell run, which completely healed me on an emotional and spiritual level.
It was a necessary triage.
Exactly.
You cannot sustain that level of emotional devastation from a senior citizen without immediate medical intervention. And by medical intervention, I mean highly processed cheese products consumed in a parked car at midnight.
Yes. Snark Squad, I am emotionally obsessed and permanently attached to the most aggressively cheesy menu items.
There's a problem, honestly.
It's a lifestyle. I got the cheesy gordita crunch. I got a side of the Fiesta potatoes, which are basically a warm, starchy hug in a little plastic bowl.
Very poetic.
And a Baja Blast, because obviously
Yeah.
it was everything I needed to stitch my soul back together.
I will fiercely defend Taco Bell as gourmet after midnight.
It is a Michelin star experience at 1 a.m.
There is a specific chemical perfection to a late-night fast food run.
Yeah.
The intense sodium, the crunch, the synthetic cheese, it triggers a massive dopamine release that perfectly counters the existential dread of our daily lives.
Wow, you really analyzed that.
I did. You are trading $3 for pure, unadulterated serotonin. Which, if you think about it, is actually the exact same transaction these reality stars are making.
Oh. Wait, how so?
They are trading their dignity for 15 minutes of fame and a TLC paycheck.
Boom. Look at that thematic connection. We are trading fake cheese for real dopamine, and these couples are trading fake love for real green cards.
A perfect segue.
Babes, pour your sangria, grab your cheesy gordita crunch, because we are diving headfirst into Season 12, Episode 2, trusting the process.
Highly ironic title.
And let me tell you, nobody in this premiere should be trusting any process, least of all, the United States government's immigration process.
Absolutely not. Let's start with Esha and Maxwell, because I have never, in my years of analyzing human behavior, seen someone so fiercely dedicated to fighting the basic concepts of reality.
Oh my God, Ashia. Where do we even begin?
Let's set the scene. Ashia, who is 38, our self-proclaimed high-powered boss and CEO, the saved, sanctified, holy, ghost-filled woman, is sitting in an immigration lawyer's office.
Yes, she is sitting there literally pleading the blood of Jesus over a denied K-1 visa.
It was a legal proceeding, not an exorcism.
She is baffled. She is shocked. She is looking at this attorney and saying, I don't know how the devil snuck in, but I know one thing. He got to leave with that darn visa.
The devil.
The devil. She is blaming Satan for the U.S. Embassy doing a basic background check on a Nigerian scammer.
It is a phenomenal defense strategy, honestly.
I am reacting so emotionally to this because she completely refuses to accept reality.
Well, you need to analytically deconstruct what happened in that lawyer's office, because the mechanics of this are fascinating.
Please break it down, because I was too busy screaming at my TV.
First of all, the attorney's firm is named Love Immigration.
I know. What is that?
Let's just pause on that. It sounds like a shell company.
It sounds like a dating app.
But even this attorney, working at a place called Love Immigration, has to deliver the harshest reality check. He looks at her and says, the visa was flat out denied.
Yep.
Not delayed, denied. He explicitly tells her there is no appeal process. Zero.
None. And the Snark squad needs to understand how the K-1 visa process works, because this is where the absolute scam mechanics come into play.
Exactly. The K-1 is a fiancé visa. It requires rigorous proof that the relationship is legitimate, that you've met in person, and that you intend to marry within 90 days of arrival.
It's not just a casual form you fill out online.
Right. The embassy background checks are looking for patterns of fraud, and the lawyer basically spells out the exact mechanism of why it was flagged.
And this is the craziest part.
Ashia's best friend and Maxwell's best friend filed for K-1 visas at the exact same time.
What are the odds?
They used the exact same timeline. The embassy interviewer literally said, there's no way two friends are engaged to two friends.
It's so obviously a setup.
They probably used the same photos, the same templates, the exact same scripts. It proves unequivocally that this is a coordinated immigration scheme.
It's a factory.
They are running a K-1 visa factory out of Nigeria, a literal beau special on American brides, and Ashia is sitting there acting like it's a spiritual attack.
She is relying on a lawyer named Love to fix a highly coordinated Nigerian scam ring.
The irony is rich.
But babes, we have to talk about the absolute MVP of this entire segment. Give it up for Rod.
Rod. The godbrother.
The icon.
The only person in this entire narrative who has a functioning prefrontal cortex.
Rod was incredible. He goes to the lawyer's office with her, trying to bring basic common sense to the table, and Ashia gets so defensive.
She hated it.
She literally says in her confessional that Rod has lost his mind because he's asking basic logical questions like, what if the embassy knows something we don't know?
A very fair question.
And she snaps back, I need support, not protection.
Which is the most backwards logic I've ever heard.
Babes, you're being scammed out of thousands of dollars. You don't need support, you need witness protection.
Exactly.
But here's where I have to push back on Ashia's whole God ordained this narrative.
Oh, let's hear it.
I really think this is about her faith blinding her. She truly believes God promised her a husband.
I completely disagree with you on that.
Wait, really? Why?
The faith aspect is just window dressing. It is 100% her biological clock. She literally says it herself in the episode.
Okay, yes, you could say that.
She says, I'm 38, my biological clock is ticking, I do not have time for this.
Wait, I refuse to accept that it's just the clock.
Yeah.
If this was just about having a baby, she could go to a local sperm bank.
True.
She could adopt. She could date locally. She is a self-proclaimed high-powered CEO. She doesn't need to fly across the globe to find a co-parent.
So what's your theory then?
This is about her ego. She needs a man who views her as an American savior so she can maintain the upper hand in the power dynamic. She wants to be the boss in the relationship, too.
Okay, that's a fair point regarding the power dynamic, but you cannot ignore the sheer panic of her timeline.
The panic is definitely there.
She wants the traditional marriage and baby package so badly, she is willing to completely overlook a synchronized immigration fraud ring.
It's wild.
And let's talk about the sheer hypocrisy of her standards. Did you catch the AOL-era husband requirement list she read to Rod?
Oh my God, the list. Snark Squad, she literally say she made this list when AOL was a thing.
We are talking dial-up internet days.
You've got a mail.
It was a fascinating sociological artifact.
What was even on it? I couldn't keep up.
She wants a man with no smoking, no drinking, good teeth, wealthy, athletic, great lover, knows his purpose, good hygiene, and loves God.
That is an exhausting list.
She reads this exhaustive, delusional list of demands to Rod. And the hilarious, biting irony here is that Maxwell, her Nigerian internet boyfriend who just got permanently banned from entering the United States, meets literally zero of these criteria.
Zero.
Is he wealthy? No. She's paying for his immigration attorney. Is he ambitious? His ambition is to defraud the Department of Homeland Security.
She is so desperate to check off the husband box that she threw that entire AOL list into the trash the second a guy swiped right, called her a queen, and sent her a heart emoji.
It's the bare minimum.
It is sad, but it is also infuriating because she is so arrogant about it. The attorney tells her the K1 is dead, and her options are basically to start over or fly to Nigeria, marry him, and file a CR1 spousal visa.
Which is a logistical nightmare.
Which will take 2 years and could still get denied because the fraud flag is already on his file. And she looks at the camera with a straight face and says, "I don't take no for an answer."
Someone needs to explain international law to her.
Babes, the United States government just gave you a very firm, legally binding no.
It is a textbook case of the sunk cost fallacy. She has spent 2 years and thousands of dollars on lawyers and flights, so her ego will not allow her to admit she was a mark.
Too painful.
Exactly. The psychological pain of admitting she was scammed is greater than the pain of continuing the delusion.
That is so deep and so true.
But to your earlier point about hygiene being on her husband requirement list.
Oh, no. I know where we're going.
This is a perfect thematic transition. Because while Ashia is sitting in a legal office trying to scrub a fraud charge off her fiancé's record, another cast member is actively, manually scrubbing the literal dirt off her fiancé's body in a Gothic church bathtub.
Oh, my God. Snark Squad. Trigger warning for biohazards, lack of hygiene, and visceral horror.
Brace yourself.
Because we have to talk about Shay and Annabelle. I am still emotionally scarred from this segment. My skin is physically crawling just thinking about it.
Let's introduce our players and their respective ecosystems.
Yes, lay it out for the babes.
We have Shay, 54 years old, a real estate agent from Paducah, Kentucky. He lives in what he proudly describes as a messy bachelor pad with his dogs.
Which is code for a landfill.
Pretty much. And he is meeting Annabelle, who is also 54, flying in from the Philippines to the Lambert Airport in St. Louis.
And the contrast is immediately violently horrifying.
It really is.
Annabelle is a self-proclaimed clean freak. She admits that whenever she calls him on video chat, she's always holding a broom or doing laundry, and her house in the Philippines looks immaculate.
Flawless.
Meanwhile, Shay admits he uses a RoboVac every now and then and only dusts on special occasions.
Special occasions being a leap year, apparently.
Babes. He went to the airport to pick up his international fiancée smelling like stale Cheetos and sweat. He literally said on camera that his hands were permanently covered in Cheeto dust.
It was a horrific sensory experience just watching it through the screen.
I can smell it through the TV.
She lands after a 30-hour international flight looking pristine and immediately tells him he smells bad. His mouth smells bad, his body smells bad.
Welcome to America.
And then we get to the hotel, and I have to analytically praise the producers for this location choice because it is poetic cinema.
That was so weird.
He booked a room in a converted Gothic Methodist church.
A church. He booked a literal church to consummate this mess.
Yes. Sleeping in a church is the absolute perfect, most sacrilegious setting for the completely unholy acts that are about to take place in that botanical suite.
Unholy is the only word for it.
A church is a place where you go to cleanse yourself of your sins, and Annabelle is about to take that extremely literally.
She is performing a baptism.
He even jokes about turning the Jesus pictures around so he doesn't have to watch. And honestly, Jesus didn't want to watch this.
No one wanted to watch this.
The viewers didn't want to watch this. TLC violated the Geneva Conventions by broadcasting what happened next.
I absolutely spiraled over the bathtub scene. Babes, I was watching through my fingers, screaming at the television.
It was harrowing.
Annabelle takes one look at this giant, sweaty, Cheeto-dusted man and decides an intervention is urgently required. She forces Shay into this giant tub, and she manually scrubs him down like a toddler who just rolled in the mud.
It was incredibly graphic, and the Reddit community, our beautiful, unhinged Reddit community, was reading them for absolute filth.
What are they saying? I couldn't even look at my phone.
I was scrolling through the post-episode discussion, and the consensus was clear. Commenters were actively demanding that TLC issue a formal public apology for televising Annabelle washing Shay's ass, boy, and eggs.
Oh my God.
That is a direct quote from the episode, by the way. She proudly announced she was cleaning his penis, his eggs, and his ass, even if he takes a poop.
Even if I take a poop, I was dry heaving into a throw pillow.
It was just so much information.
And then she checks his toenails. She makes him show her his toenails to make sure they won't scratch her legs in bed, and they look like overgrown eagle talons.
They needed a power sander for those things.
And the most traumatizing part, Shay admits on national television that he usually just uses a wet rag.
A wet rag.
A wet rag, no soap, no loofah. Just a damp cloth to wipe away 54 years of bad decisions and stale snack foods.
If we look at the mechanics of this relationship, this is exactly why these men seek out women from overseas who are in economically disadvantaged positions.
Break it down, bestie.
They want a mother, a maid, and an intimacy partner all rolled into one without having to meet the basic hygiene standards required by women in their own local dating pool.
It makes me so sick, but it's so true.
Annabelle is treating him like a neglected rescue animal. She is physically dominating him through hygiene because she understands that this is the transactional price of admission to America.
Right, do the job.
She acts as his caretaker,
Yeah?
and in exchange, she gets financial security.
Okay, host analogy time.
Let's hear it.
Watching Annabelle enthusiastically scrub Shay with that loofah is exactly like watching someone try to polish a cursed, haunted antique.
Oh, I love this.
You can scrub it, you can polish it, you can shine it up with all the soap in the world, but no matter how clean the surface gets, the bad history and the dark, demonic energy are still deeply attached to the object. It is fundamentally cursed.
That is a phenomenal analogy, because she is polishing the exterior, but she cannot cleanse his past.
She can't.
And speaking of the bad history attached to him, we have the looming threat of impending doom. Shay's ex-wife, Nicole.
Oh, Nicole is waiting in the wings. She is lurking in the shadows of Paducah.
She absolutely is. Shay explicitly admits in this episode that he is terrified Nicole is going to expose his rampant cheating to Annabelle.
Which she totally deserves.
He tries to justify his infidelity in the confessional, saying, oh, maybe at a party on the lake I kissed a chick or had a few too many.
Always minimizing.
To me, that's not cheating, that's having a good time, which is the mating call of the unrepentant narcissist.
It really is a good time.
He minimizes his betrayals as just having a good time. Nicole is the ticking time bomb in this narrative.
Exactly. Annabelle can scrub his eggs until they shine, but she can't scrub away the cheating allegations.
No amount of soap can fix that.
And this brings us to another form of cleansing. Because while Shay is letting himself be physically scrubbed clean to secure his relationship, which is a very visible form of submission.
Yes, very submissive.
Over in Portland, we have a cast member doing the exact opposite. She is using clinical therapy speak to scrub away her own accountability and absolutely dominate her partner.
Ugh. Yes.
Babes, we have to talk about Catie and Josh.
Catie, the patron saint of weaponized mental health terminology.
I am in sheer disbelief at this woman. I am completely dumbfounded. Let's lay out the scenario for the squad.
Go for it.
Catie, our quirky, spontaneous girl from Portland, throws a welcome to America party for Josh, her British fiancé, who just moved his entire life across the ocean for her.
A huge sacrifice on his part.
But who does she explicitly invite to this small, intimate gathering? Multiple men that she has made out with and slept with at his run club.
It is an analytical masterpiece of manipulation. Let's dissect her excuses, because this is where the dark psychology of modern dating comes in.
Let's dissect it, because it makes no sense.
Catie claims she has OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and she blames her intrusive thoughts from her OCD for her compulsion to get blackout drunk and kiss every single man at her run club.
What a convenient symptom.
She says kissing people neutralizes the obsession.
It makes me so angry. She is literally saying, oops, I kissed your roommate and your friend. It's just my quirky OCD. I couldn't help it. That is not how OCD works.
It absolutely is not. And this is where the co-opting of clinical terms becomes So dangerous. I was reading a thread by someone who actually suffers from clinical OCD, and they were furious about this representation.
I don't blame them. It's so insulting.
Catie doesn't just have OCD. Based on her on-screen behavior, she is masking severe, unchecked alcoholism and rampant promiscuity behind a trendy mental health diagnosis to completely evade accountability.
Spot on.
She drinks until she loses control, she acts on her impulses, and then she uses a clinical term as a shield. By labeling it OCD, she creates a dynamic where Josh isn't allowed to be mad at her because if he gets mad, he's attacking her mental health.
It's evil.
It's brilliant, evil, and entirely toxic.
It is so toxic. She is holding his empathy hostage. And babes, I literally screamed. I paused the TV and screamed at the moment Catie walks up to Josh, who is standing there holding a drink with a guy named Mark.
Mark, the former hookup?
Yes. Her former hookup. She walks up, completely cheerful, probably 3 drinks deep, and literally dubs their conversation the ex-lovers chat.
I guess you're not my ex-lover, she says to Josh. The sheer disrespect is staggering.
How is Josh still standing there?
I analyzed Josh's reaction in that moment. His eyes went completely to the sunken place. You could see the British politeness warring with the soul-crushing realization that he has ruined his life.
You could see his soul leaving his body.
Mark, the guy she hooked up with, is actually the one warning Josh. Mark is telling him she's a lioness on the prowl and predicting she's going to make huge mistakes.
Mark is being a better friend than the fiancé.
And then Catie bluntly announces, to both of them, I banged both Josh and Mark. Not one time, like 3 times.
She said it so proudly. I banged them. Not made out, not casually dated, banged.
Yeah.
3 times. She quantified it.
It's unhinged.
And here's where I have to push back on Josh, because my heart bleeds for him, but I'm also screaming at him. Josh is way too emotionally intelligent and patient for Catie. He communicates clearly. He asks calm questions. He says, do you want to be with me? He is so put together, so why is he staying?
That's the million-dollar question.
I refuse to believe an adult man is this passive.
Yeah.
Is he just completely desperate to be on television? Does he want a reality TV career?
I don't think it's about television fame. I think he is suffering from severe geographic and emotional sunken cost fallacy.
But the humiliation. She's humiliating him in public.
The humiliation is overridden by the logistics. He just moved continents. He quit his job. He packed up his entire life.
That's true. Moving from the UK is no joke.
The psychological weight of packing up and going back to the UK, admitting to his friends and family that he was a fool, is too heavy right now.
He doesn't want to admit defeat.
So he wants it to work. He's clinging to the moments when she's sweet, like decorating his hotel room with banners to excuse the moments when she is emotionally terrorizing him in public.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense, but it's tragic. He is living a tragedy.
And let's look at the toxic dynamic of their intimacy. They finally had sex the next morning, and Josh says in his confessional that it's because the stress of immigration was gone.
Right, which is not romantic at all.
Now that I have my visa, I feel like running into it.
So like doing your taxes?
Exactly. He viewed sex as a chore on a to-do list while he was stressed. Now that the paperwork is filed, he feels relief.
Okay, but what about Catie?
Catie's psychology is entirely different. She explicitly links sex to validation. She said if they aren't having sex, she doesn't feel wanted, and that's why she seeks out other men to make out with.
That is so messed up.
It is a transactional, highly unstable foundation. This relationship is a ticking time bomb.
Tick-tock, babes.
The moment he gets stressed again, say, by her getting drunk and kissing the bartender, he will withdraw, she will cheat to get validation, and the cycle will violently explode.
It's going to explode. It is so wild and so blatant. Catie is just rubbing his face in her disrespect out in the open.
She really is.
But babes, as wild as Catie is, at least she is right out there in the open with her mess. She isn't hiding a secret double life, which is more than I can say for a certain 41-year-old Egyptian virgin.
Thematic brilliance. From blatant cheating in the open to hidden double lives in the shadows.
You know it?
We must discuss Debbie and Mito, the Egyptian Micah Plath.
Babes, I was spiraling during this segment. Let me introduce our couple.
Please do.
We have Debbie, 55 years old, an insurance agent from New Orleans, Louisiana, and she is engaged to Mido, who is 41, and who she claims is an Egyptian actor, model, and tour guide.
A modern-day Renaissance man, apparently.
Apparently. Let's start with the deeply delusional meet cute, because it sets the precedent for the entire scam.
Oh, the pyramid scene.
6 years ago, Debbie and her daughter go to Egypt. Mido is their tour guide. He looks at her paperwork, sees she's from L.A., meaning Louisiana.
Right, Louisiana.
He probably assumes she means Los Angeles, California, and immediately goes into scammer mode.
He saw dollar signs. Or, well, Hollywood signs.
He calls her Cleopatra inside the Great Pyramid, and then, as they are climbing down the narrow claustrophobic tunnels, he forces a kiss on her.
An assault. A literal assault in a pyramid.
Yes.
And she swoons. She hasn't been with a man in almost 20 years, so she is prime real estate for a smooth talker.
She was vulnerable.
She is walking through the desert of being single, and she is desperate for water.
Exactly. Now, let's sarcastically dissect Mito's illustrious career, shall we?
Oh, please, I have notes.
Debbie proudly proclaims he is a famous movie star with hundreds of thousands of followers.
Hundreds of thousands.
But if you actually look at the screen, and I paused the television to analyze those Instagram shots they showed.
Because you're a journalist?
Exactly. His photos are dark, amateurish, shot in terrible lighting, and they have exactly 6 comments. 6.
A local dog account in my neighborhood has more engagement than this supposedly famous actor.
Exactly. 6 comments is not famous.
I was dying at the YouTube reviewer who dubbed him the Egyptian Micah Plath. It is the most accurate description ever uttered.
It is so spot on.
He is a farm boy equivalent trying to pose like an Abercrombie model from 2004.
The Egyptian Micah Plath. I screamed. And babes, I absolutely lost my mind over the virginity claim.
Oh, the math does not math on that one.
Mido claims that he is a 41-year-old virgin because he's a devout Muslim.
Yeah.
Debbie goes out for drinks with her friend, and her friend asks, "So you guys have straight up never had sex?"
A natural question.
And Debbie has to say no.
Her friend's reaction was incredible.
Yeah.
The producer asks the friend, "Why were you surprised he's a virgin?"
What does she say?
And she bluntly stares into the camera, takes a beat, and says, "Because I'm a slut. Sorry."
Yes.
It was the most honest piece of dialogue in the entire franchise.
Because I'm a slut. Put her on a t-shirt. Give that friend a spin-off. I want her on my television every week.
She needs to be hosting the tell-all.
And it's so obviously a lie. He's a 41-year-old tour guide who aggressively kisses tourists in the dark tunnels of pyramids. He is not a virgin.
Statistically, no.
But Debbie is eating it up. And babes, the delusion reaches its absolute peak with the headshot.
Oh, the headshots. Analytically speaking, this was the moment I knew we were dealing with profound mental gymnastics.
Like Olympic level.
Mido asks Debbie to print out his modeling shots at home on her little inkjet printer so he can bring them to America and conquer Hollywood.
He thinks Hollywood accepts printer paper.
He literally asks her on a video call if she's willing to move to Hollywood or New York to support his career.
He's moving to New Orleans, Louisiana, and he thinks he's going to conquer Hollywood with an 8x11 piece of printer paper showing him squinting into the sun.
The printer was probably running out of cyan ink, too.
Does he not understand the geography of the United States? Does he think Hollywood is a short bus ride from the French Quarter?
He has no idea.
But what made me highly, intensely emotional in this segment wasn't the fake acting career. It was the dog.
Oh, little bit.
Babes, Mido banned Debbie's dog, Little Bit, from sleeping in the bed.
Yes. He claims it's because dogs are haram in his faith and are considered dirty, so the dog cannot be in the bed.
Little Bit has slept in that bed every single night of her life. If a man who I haven't seen in 3 years tells me my dog is getting kicked out of the bed, I am canceling the K-1 visa immediately.
It's a non-negotiable.
The dog stays. The Egyptian Micah Plath goes. You do not mess with a woman's emotional support animal.
Fortunately for Little Bit, Mido might not actually be showing up to claim his side of the mattress.
It's true. Let's talk about the ending.
Let's detail the absolute climax of their segment, the airport ghosting.
Oh my God, the heartbreak. It was actually hard to watch.
It is the day before his flight. Debbie has been trying to reach him for days, and he has completely ghosted her.
Crickets.
Finally, he answers the phone, and he has the absolute worst, most agitated attitude. He claims his dad is suddenly sick, he needs a doctor to come, and he demands a 10 to 15-day delay on his flight.
It's convenient.
But the kicker. He explicitly tells her, do not return the ticket. He wants her to keep the flight open, handle the logistics, eat the financial cost, and just wait for him.
Okay, host analogy time.
Yes, lay it on me.
Because I was crying for her, but I also see the truth of how this manipulation works. Mido is exactly like a mirage in the Egyptian desert.
Oh, wow.
Debbie has been walking through the desert being single for 20 years. She is parched. She is desperate for companionship. She looks out across the sand, and she thinks she sees this beautiful, shimmering oasis, a gorgeous actor husband coming to save her.
A mirage.
But as she gets closer As the actual flight date approaches and reality sets in, the illusion vanishes. It's literally just sand, empty promises, and a scammer trying to string her along so he doesn't lose a free ticket to America.
That is precisely what it is, a mirage. He is buying time.
He's totally stalling.
And Debbie's daughter, Devin, clearly sees the sand. She's sitting there trying to protect her mother, pointing out the red flags, questioning his motives, asking to hear him speak.
The daughter gets it.
Which perfectly mirrors the dynamic of our final couple. The family seeing the truth and aggressively rejecting the transplant, while the cast member lives in a corporate fantasy.
Yes. Babes, we have to talk about Marissa and Edward, the ultimate clash between boss CEO energy and middle school skepticism.
Marissa is a fascinating study in performative reality television.
She's doing the most.
She treats every single one of her segments like she is filming a B-roll package for a Forbes 30 under 30 interview, despite the fact that she is well past 30.
Way past.
She constantly, relentlessly reminds the camera that she is a high-powered boss and CEO. She lives a dual life, splitting 50-50 custody of her sons, living in Pennsylvania and working in New York City.
She is exhausting. She literally sits in her car, taking off her heels, talking about how she is a ninja, juggling all these responsibilities.
Ninja, sure.
And then she complains that Edward, her fiancé from overseas who works at a resort, gets angry because she doesn't have time to call him.
This is where I have to analytically call out her blatant elitism because it was deeply uncomfortable to watch.
It was so cringe.
She is explaining to her young sons, Derek, who is 11, and Cole, who is 10, that Edward is moving in. The kids ask a very practical, logical question. Will he have money?
Smart kids.
And Marissa, instead of answering normally or reassuring them, decides to give an economics lesson dripping in condescension.
It was awful.
She tells her children that a normal person in America makes in 1 week what Edward makes in his country in a whole month. She explicitly says his resort skill set isn't really useful here and implies she will have to give him an allowance.
It was so gross. She is talking about her future husband, the man who was supposed to be a stepfather to these boys, and she paints him as this destitute, unskilled charity case.
How are they supposed to look up to him?
Exactly. How are those kids supposed to respect him? You are literally setting him up to be viewed as a lesser-than servant in your own home. You are giving your 11-year-old permission to look down on this grown man.
Exactly. It's a damaging narrative. If we want an analogy that explains the mechanics of her behavior, Marissa treats her family like a hostile corporate takeover.
Oh, I like this.
Edward is the new middle manager she's importing to handle the grunt work at home while she's in New York. And she's trying to force her kids, who are essentially the shareholders in this family, to vote yes on the merger by bribing them with a dog.
A hostile corporate takeover.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. And it leads perfectly into the painfully awkward scene on the basketball court.
That was hard to watch.
She gathers her kids to run them through what looks and sounds exactly like a corporate PR script. She's standing there with a basketball saying, "How are we feeling about Edward coming? Give me 3 words to describe yourself."
Performative parenting. She was trying to produce her own kids for the camera to show what a ninja mom she is.
And they were not buying it.
Yeah. And the kids were not having it. They are visibly uncomfortable with a stranger moving into their house. The older son, Derek, literally says in his confessional, "I didn't even know they were dating until last year. It's just a weird reaction in my body."
Listen to your body, Derek.
Listen to your kids' bodies. They are stressed. Their nervous systems are rejecting this plan.
And she had to bribe them with a dog. She promised them a dog just to get them to agree to the idea of Edward moving in. And she still hasn't bought the dog.
The dog is a lie.
But here's my pushback to Marissa. I don't understand her logistics.
Break it down.
If you are so busy being a high-powered CEO ninja, and you are so busy being a baseball and football mom that you literally cannot even answer Edward's phone calls at the end of the night, why are you moving him into your house?
To dominate him.
But a CEO would just outsource this. He would hire a nanny. You don't have time for a relationship. You are treating him like an accessory, like a new handbag you bought on a business trip.
It's about control. She wants a partner she can financially and logistically dominate because she controls everything else in her corporate life.
Wow, that's dark.
Think about it. A nanny can quit. A financially dependent husband from overseas cannot. But the one thing she can't control is the ex-husband, Michael.
Oh, Mike.
We get a brief glimpse of him, and he is the grounded reality this situation desperately needs. He flat out states that he is worried about the dynamic changing and that he would bite someone's face off to protect his kids.
I cheered. I literally cheered for Michael. Bite his face off, Mike. Protect those boys from the boss CEO's midlife crisis.
He is not playing around.
Okay, babes. Take a deep breath. Take a massive sip of your tropical sangria. Let the boxed wine tannins wash over you.
I need it.
Because we have survived the recap.
Yeah.
And it is officially time to move the Snark squad into the segment block.
Excellent. Let's apply some rigorous scientific ranking to this chaos. Segment 1, most delusional couple.
This is going to be tough.
We need to rank them from most to least delusional. I will open the floor to you because I know you have strong feelings about the pop spot.
Oh, I have the strongest feelings. My number one, without a shadow of a doubt, the absolute crown jewel of delusion this week is Ashia.
Make your case.
Babes, she is literally sitting in a legal office looking at physical, documented proof of a scam, two best friends filing identical visa applications, and she is saying that God is going to override the United States Embassy.
It's bull.
She is trying to appeal to the Holy Ghost to grant a K-1 visa. You cannot get more delusional than believing the creator of the universe is personally invested in expediting your Nigerian internet boyfriend's immigration paperwork. She is number one.
I hear your argument, and I respect the sheer magnitude of Asha's spiritual bypass. However, I must counter that Debbie is our reigning champion of delusion, taking the number one spot.
Over Asha. Make it make sense.
It makes perfect sense. Ashi is ignoring a scam, yes. But Debbie actually believes that a 41-year-old, incredibly handsome Egyptian tour guide, a man who aggressively kissed her in a pyramid, is a pure, untouched virgin.
Okay, that is crazy.
Furthermore, she believes this 41-year-old virgin is going to move to New Orleans, Louisiana to launch a massive Hollywood acting career using dark, poorly framed Abercrombie and Fitch-style photos printed on a home inkjet printer.
Not the inkjet printer.
The layers of fantasy required to sustain that narrative are staggering. Debbie is number one. Asha is a close number two.
Okay, you make a compelling case with the printer paper headshots. So if Debbie is one and Ashi is two, I put Catie and Josh at number three.
Let's hear why.
Thinking you can invite all the men you've slept with to your fiancé's welcome party and call it quirky OCD is top-tier delusion.
Agreed. Catie and Josh at three. At number four, I would put Marissa and Edward.
That feels right.
Marissa's delusion lies in her belief that she can import husband, treat him like a charity case in front of her children, ignore his phone calls because she's a boss CEO, and expect a happy, functional, blended family.
Which leaves Shay and Annabelle at number five. Because honestly, Shay isn't delusional.
He's gross, but he's realistic.
He knows he's a gross, dirty bachelor who needs a wet nurse, and Annabelle knows she has to scrub his eggs to get a green card. It's a transactional nightmare, but they both kind of know what it is.
A horrifyingly accurate assessment. Moving on to segment two, biggest red flag. We're going rapid fire. Give me the two absolute biggest glaring red flags for each couple from this premiere. Let's start with Catie and Josh.
Oh, I am spiraling just thinking about them. Red flag number one is Catie weaponizing therapy terms.
Yes.
Using intrusive thoughts to justify getting drunk and playing console hockey with the entire Portland Run Club is evil work. And red flag number two, Josh having zero backbone.
None at all.
When she said, I banged him 3 times, and he just blinked and said, do you want to be with me? Stand up, Josh. Get off your knees.
Perfectly stated. Let's look at Shay and Annabelle. Red flag number one is undoubtedly Shay's dirty bachelor pad and his admission that he cleans his body with a wet rag.
So gross.
The man is a biohazard. Red flag number two is Annabelle weaponizing a loofah.
Oh, the loofah attack.
The sheer aggression and control she displayed while manually detailing him in that church bathtub shows a terrifying power dynamic. She is dominating him through hygiene.
Dominating through hygiene. Okay, Aisha and Maxwell. Red flag number one, the matching K-1 visa applications with the best friends. It is a literal Mido scam.
Boobo bride special.
Red flag number two, Aisha blaming the devil instead of blaming Maxwell for lying to her.
Spot on. Debbie and Mito. Red flag number one is Mido claiming to be a 41-year-old virgin. It is a statistical improbability and a blatant manipulation tactic.
That's a complete lie.
Red flag number two is the airport ghosting, claiming his dad is sick but telling her not to cancel the ticket. He's securing the asset without committing to the timeline.
Yes. And finally, Marissa and Edward. Red flag number one, Marissa telling her kids that Edward is basically poor and unemployable in America.
So inappropriate.
Red flag number two, the kids. The kids are terrified. The ex-husband wants to bite faces off. The entire family ecosystem is rejecting this transplant.
Which brings us perfectly to segment three. Could this relationship survive real life?
The ultimate test.
We must pick our top 2 couples that will actually go the distance and be together 5 years from now. And to be clear, this doesn't mean they are happy. It could be purely out of stubbornness, spite, or the sunken cost fallacy.
Okay, this is so dark, but I actually think Shay and Annabelle will make it 5 years. I really do.
Really? Explain.
Because Shay gets a live-in maid and someone to clip his Eagle Talon toenails, and Annabelle gets to live in America and control the household finances. It's a mutually beneficial business transaction. They will be miserable, but they will be together.
I have to agree. Transactional relationships often outlast passion-based ones.
Okay, who is your pick?
For my survivor pick, I'm going with Catie and Josh. Not because it's healthy, but because Josh has demonstrated a limitless capacity for suffering.
He really has.
He will absorb her chaotic, drunken abuse, forgive her every morning, and stay purely because he gave up his life in the UK. They will be in couples counseling for a decade, but they won't divorce.
Oh, that is so bleak and so accurate.
Yep.
Okay, but who is the couple guaranteed to crumble the absolute second the TLC cameras pack up and leave?
I will take this one. It is Marissa and Edward. It will be a
Right.
spectacular failure.
Like an explosion.
Once the cameras are gone, the performative boss CEO mask will slip. She will realize she actually has to spend time with him. Furthermore, the kids and the ex-husband, Michael, will form a united front and essentially run Edward out of town.
They will chase him out.
Edward will realize that living in a quiet Pennsylvania suburb with a woman who ignores him and kids who resent him is significantly worse than working at a beautiful resort overseas. He will self-deport.
He will pack his bags in the middle of the night. I completely agree. Okay, babes. Our final segment of the night, segment 4, Soft Girl International Era.
The premise. We must discuss which countries featured on the show, the UK, Nigeria, Egypt, the Philippines, or wherever Edward is from, we would move to purely for the romance, the aesthetics, and the vibes.
Love this.
The catch. We have to take one of the castmates with us as our travel companion.
Oh, this is so easy for me, but it's also highly emotional. I am packing my bags, I am putting on a trench coat, and I am moving to the UK with Josh.
Oh, interesting voice.
But let me be clear. I am doing this purely as a rescue mission. I am saving this sweet, polite, emotionally intelligent man from the chaotic terror that is Catie.
He needs rescuing.
We are going to go to London. We are going to drink pints in a cozy pub. I am going to build up his self-esteem. And we are going to have a beautiful soft girl era far away from the Portland Run Club.
A noble sacrifice. I, on the other hand, am choosing chaos. I am moving to Egypt, and I am taking Mido with me.
What? Why? Are you okay?
For purely journalistic, snarky purposes, I want to arrive in Cairo with the Egyptian mycoplath.
Oh my God.
I want to see these supposed hundreds of thousands of followers in action. I want to walk the streets with him and see if a single human being recognizes this so-called famous actor.
They won't?
I want to witness the exact moment his facade crumbles when the local baristas don't know who he is. It would be a phenomenal sociological experiment. Plus, I wouldn't have to share a bed with him because apparently he's a 41-year-old virgin who hates dogs. I'll get my own suite.
You are a menace. You are a literal menace to society, taking Mido back to Egypt to expose his fake Instagram followers. I love it.
It would be great TV.
It really would.
Yeah.
Babes, Snark Squad, what a night. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, for surviving the Taco Bell and Sangria chaos, and for letting us unpack these absolute disasters.
It has been an essential debriefing, but before we sign off, we need data from the Snark Squad.
We need to hear from you.
Please proceed to the comments and sound off on 3 vital questions. Number 1, have you ever had a borderline delusional crush on a teacher or an instructor? We need justice for Giovanni, and we need to know we aren't alone in this.
Number 2, what is your ultimate ride-or-die go-to Taco Bell order? I need to know your late-night carb preferences to see if we are truly compatible as besties.
Essential data.
And number 3, which reality TV couple from this premiere do you think is spiraling the absolute hardest?
Ew.
Is it Asia and the Devil? Is it Catie and the Run Club? Let us know.
And as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our feed so you never miss our descent into madness.
Yes, babes, hit that subscribe button. And I want to leave you with one final, deeply provocative thought to marinate on until next week.
Give it to them.
When you look at a Shia fighting the embassy, or Marissa forcing her kids to accept a stranger, ask yourself this. Are these people actually looking for love? Or are they just looking for an audience for their unresolved childhood trauma?
Stay delusional.
Stay messy,
Uh.
and we will see you on the Snark side.